Hey there, y'all, and welcome to today's Daily Down and Dirty. My name is Fairlight. Welcome to Airy Fairy Tarot. All right, y'all. So I pulled oracle cards today. I love this deck, but before even pulling them, I didn't realize I didn't do my usual calling in of guides. I did do that after the cards came out, but the way they came through, I was kind of reflecting on two palm readings that I just did. They were two friends, and it was interesting. They both had calluses under their Saturn finger, whatever, their middle finger. And what it was feeling like was that they were, callous to choosing what they actually want in life. And then these cards came out, and so it feels like the message today, really it's see the truth, but it feels like there's I could go right into the cards, but I feel like I have to define something before I get into it. There's a deeper recognition right now happening that this is all made up. Literally everything is made up. All the rules, all the everything, all the indoctrinated beliefs. And yeah, I love to talk about how there's not an honest thing about conformity, because there's not. There's nothing honest about conformity. So, but there's almost like a pulling away from the fabric or something, recognizing that you are not really embedded in the fabric as much as you believed. Maybe you've been embedded in it, but you're your own, like a bead that got embedded into fabric, but you can pull that bead away and it can just be a free agent and decide if it attaches itself to another fabric or if it's just gonna spin around and decorate this for a minute. You know what I mean? So in saying that, we start with you were born to create. And I love because this egg, it totally shows this how holes are being formed in the fabric, and the light is coming through, and light is information. And again, I like to make the distinction about light and dark. We've been so indoctrinated into correlating dark with evil, but the only ones who benefit that is evil. Evil utilizes both light and dark. Light is information. If you come to the threshold of a dark room, it doesn't mean the room is evil. It just means you don't have any information. You don't know if you step into that room, is there going to be a floor? Maybe there's stairs. But if you light a candle, you receive some information. If you illuminate the room, you receive lots of information. So light is information, but there's a lot of false information out there, a lot of false light. And so then, utilizing the darkness so that you're too afraid to question. And so really, when we're putting light into the darkness, and there's this image that I want to share that maybe I've shared before, but it's like, man, too many things want to be said at once. As light comes through the darkness, you're realizing greater truths about yourself, about your perspective, and you might feel a little bit afraid that you're going to be caught noticing this made up bullshit. But no, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to recognize that it's all made up, and that you really do, when you pull into your core, you really do have a choice about what you focus on. And a silly example before I come back to that image that wanted to be expressed or whatever, is that, a lot of times people will try to be in your life, and they may come into your life trying to be your friend, and you might just not vibe with them too much. You're not obligated to let people hang out with you, but at the same time, people find an even sneakier way into your life by being villains, and they'll create a scenario trying to ensnare you into a dramatic storyline or something. And I feel like there's a strong ability to recognize these ploys right now and you have a greater sovereignty about, I don't have to jump into that trap. I see exactly what's going on here. And no, I don't even want you in my life as a villain. I don't want to put any energy into you at all. I don't want to put energy into you as a villain at all. I don't want that storyline. I want to create something. And so the image that came through, I don't know why, something about the dragon, there's this great revelation that's coming through about you were born to create. When you start to really harness your creative ability, your creative power, and you start to recognize that with the power of focus, you are manifesting your realities, you really are. We all are. What I was shown one time is that, you know, it's like it's like a garment that you're wearing, and it's like a garment made of false light in so many ways. This is your identity. I checked all the boxes. I got the best grades, and I got the best job, and I married the most best looking person, or maybe you did none of those things. But it's like, you know, all these things that we believe we're supposed to do, and either we're succeeding or we're failing or whatever, but it's somebody else's approval that says if what we're doing is right or wrong. And of course, at a collective level, like, don't be an asshole. Everybody would probably agree some things are assholes. We're not going to go down that wormhole today. And so it's like what's happening now is like you're being stripped of that garment. And when I first got this image, what I expected was the garment of false light being torn off and the true light underneath being revealed. But what I was shown once that garment of false light was ripped off was the darkness. And so your own darkness being revealed to you, your own shadow. So much of the shadow is your inner child. So much of the shadow is truth that you were taught is unacceptable. But it's unacceptable because it doesn't obey the conformity. And so it's probably, there's brilliance underneath that, but you've got to be willing to shine a light into it. And then some of it, you know, it's trauma, and it is distortion of self, but it can be healed if you're willing to look at it and reflect on it and love yourself unconditionally. And then again, coming back to, you were born to create. And so it's like expressing these hidden aspects of self through art, through expression. And, you know, creating new friendships is creating eye contact with strangers, creating a smile. So it doesn't have to be any major work of art, but at the same time, definitely do art too. Writing is the easiest thing. Write, but draw, you know, sing, dance, play, you know, hug a tree, create connection. And that's really what creating is. You're establishing a connection, a connective flow with your own divine inspiration. So it came out more of a statement. You were born to create with love and kindness. And so I want to go into this card just a little bit. There's something very stoic about this love and kindness. So I felt like I had to talk about this last palm reading that I did. It was really interesting. In most palm readings, there will be a point where I get to a joke. It's my job to tell people that their families traumatized them, because most of us have been traumatized by our families. Even if we've had the best families, everybody makes mistakes, and trauma is just kind of the nature of being human on earth, I guess, or maybe just being on earth, I don't know. But so what was interesting about this particular palm was that he looked very close to his family. I didn't see a whole lot of disagreement, and you know, there wasn't a whole lot of submitting, or, you know, what is it, you know, putting down the self. Why can't I think of the word? Repressing his truth. And what I got from it was, like, maybe he had role models, parents, who not only didn't put themselves on pedestals, but allowed him to have his valid feelings. It was so neat to do a reading for such a person. He was open to his feelings, validated in that. And when they made mistakes, they took accountability. And isn't it funny that that can come through in a palm reading, but you never know what's gonna come through. But they took accountability. And so because they didn't put themselves on pedestals, they didn't hide their shadows. They were up front with their rascality, as Ellen Watts would say. And so he learned to accept people as they are. And he learned that people are a balance of dark and light, of good and bad, of virtuous and rascal, and whatever, masculine, feminine. And what a beautiful thing that was to see. And so what I also saw was that while he definitely still had his own emotions and his own sensitivities, he had healed from relationships that had hurt him pretty deeply. It looked like he knew how to heal. He allowed the healing, and he didn't hold grudges. He didn't hold on to the story. He just accepted they're humans. And, a lot of times, we'll come to this place of like, wow, if that's how they feel, about life or about me, how sad for them to have that perspective. But so often when we say that, we're still like, how sad. I'm guilty of that. I can hold grudges pretty bad. I've got a lot of Capricorn and Scorpio energy. So it was refreshing to see that he is sincere in that, like, I see who they are. I see where they've been. I understand why they acted like that. It still hurt me, but it's not really about me. Once I let go, then I'm just about me. And so there was something about that with love and kindness. Not being too invested in the things that don't nurture you or nourish you, not being too invested in toxic stories or toxic people. It's not an easy thing, but and then we've got see the truth. And so I want to restate what we've got so far. You were born to create with love and kindness. See the truth. And I just want us all to take a deep breath right there. There's something about this owl, and it's holding on to this, like a pendulum or a coin or something. I don't know if you can see the pattern, but it's like I think it's like a Celtic knot. I think that's exactly what it is. It's a Celtic knot where everything is interwoven. And there's something about this truth and this wisdom, owls being associated with wisdom and also being associated with night time. And I'm getting like the howl, the hoot. I was gonna say screech, and then I want to say howl. Owls don't howl. But like the screech or the hoot, there's something about using that voice in the dark. And then I'm envisioning another card by the same person in a different deck, where it shows like an angel of death, and everything is black, their wings and everything, but their sword is this gleaming, brilliant white. And so there's something about all of this that speaks about that truth in the darkness, illuminating, and it feels like elephant in the room energy too, like being willing to like talk about the thing. And like, so what if people aren't comfortable about it? Like, we're not gonna fucking sit quiet and pretend this isn't happening anymore, or whatever it is. And it can be about anything, it could be about things going on in your friend group. It can be about things going on in your family. It could be about things going on in your community, like whatever. It can be about things just from friend to friend or partner to partner. Like, it's really important to express truth. But then also, before I move on, there's something about moving back to what wanted to come out with this card, because the next card after See the Truth is We Are All Connected. And so I think there is a need. I'm hearing that like John Lennon quote about the war is inside of each of us. The war is inside of me. And so I need to find resolution here first. And it really is. It's like allowing people to be where they're at, and just understanding they're on their journey. And we can't really, it's not fair to project our preferences onto anybody else when we haven't walked in their shoes, and of course it's kind of quaint to say that, but like giving real examples, I'll use my own little plight. I'm a single mother of 4, and I've been homeless with my kids multiple times. Like, that's really fucking scary. So I can relate to people that have been homeless, but not everybody can relate to that. At the same time, I'm trying to think of something else, trying to go into something that I can't relate to at all, like being a man. You know, I've always connected with certain brothers, usually connected to music and whatever, but I don't really get what it's like. You know, things that I'm noticing about a lot of the men in my life is that, well, different ones. Those who are with trauma and those who are without. And how those who are without trauma are seeking to convey that safety to me right now. And that's kind of came through channel right there. So I don't know if that's weird, but just wanted to come through that there are those that are. So it's like noticing that sort of thing. We are all connected, whether it's conscious or unconscious. I think if we can witness the efforts that others are making, and then also bear witness to the efforts we ourselves are making, and not be so hard on ourselves, especially like if we can pull back and be like, wow, I'm being really hard on myself. What am I trying to prove here, and who am I proving it to? And there's something about see the truth that wants to be said with witness how often we have exactly what we need when we need it, and really coming into these moments of witnessing miracles, everyday miracles, and witnessing. I was just talking about that, and there it is. You know, just witness how connected we are. We are all connected. And then the last card is challenge your perception. And I feel like, you know, all of this leading up to this card, it kind of feels like everything said before that now was a setup for this last card about challenge your perception. I love that we've got truth and perception both here. I think it's important for us to use our voices, for us to speak our truth, and to both validate and value the efforts that others are making, and then also, you know, stand in our truth and say fuck you to those when it's needed. But isn't that beautiful that we are all connected, and maybe regardless of how we are witnessed or how we are witnessing others, and especially holding ourselves accountable, but holding ourselves accountable to receiving accolades of like, I really did manifest this, or I really did put a smile on that person's face, or, you know, I really did connect in a meaningful way, or I really did stand up to that person. I really did face a personal wall, a personal block, and I brought it down. And sometimes it's not easy to know, because sometimes we receive guidance not to say something or not to do something, and then we find evidence of why we were happy we listened to that guidance. And then other times it can feel like that same warning of it's a no, yet something else says it's a yes. And it can be a mixed bag. Like, you know, you can do the thing or say the thing and then berate yourself for your boldness. But if you were bearing witness to a part of yourself that wanted to be seen or heard, and you didn't even like seeing it, and maybe others didn't even like seeing it, but you honored something within yourself that said, please shine a light on me, please acknowledge my existence. And so it really feels like having more grace with yourself, and that grace, that self-love, that self-worth, that self-connectedness leads to greater truth with this love and kindness, and, you know, and expressing that to the greater connections that we make. And then I want to say again, you were born to create and challenge your perception. Don't be afraid to challenge your own perception, and definitely don't be afraid to challenge the perceptions of others. All right, that's all I have for today. Once again, my name is Fairlight. If you would like a palm reading, tarot reading, or astrology reading from me, I also do energy healing. I do cord cuttings. I do all kinds of witchy bullshit, whatever. You're welcome to hit me up either on social media or at airyfairytarot@gmail.com. I do have Fairlight at airyfairytarot.com as well. Or if you happen to be in Asheville, North Carolina, come on downtown to Lexington Street, Lexington Avenue to Instant Karma. It's a one-stop hippie shop. We've got all of your very cool hippie swag. Candles, crystals, pendulums, incense, musical instruments, cutest fucking clothes, tapestries, posters, wall hangings, more stuff than I could go on and name. Tarot decks, la 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 la. Come in, you gotta see it to believe it. All right, that's all I have for today. Peace and love until next time.